Well, folks, as promised, wanted to come to you today before we gets too late in the day and just talk you through what our leadership has decided as far as our reopening here at First Christian Church for public worship services and being face-to-face in this room together. We were waiting on the announcement from the governor on Friday just to kind of see where things stood and where we needed to go with all of this. And first and foremost, we just want you to know that above everything else, we are praying for you. One of the things that we've become accustomed to as a staff and a leadership here is that we get prayer requests from you during the week from Sunday morning. And we pray over those things. And that's not something that we've seen now for a good 6 or 7 weeks, is getting those prayer requests on the card. So we just want to remind you really quickly that if you do have a prayer request, that you please would let us know what that is. We want to join you in prayer, however that may be. You can do so by commenting on Sunday morning on our live stream, or by going to this web address at fccevv.com/prayer. We would love to partner with you and join you in whatever your greatest prayer need is. Our leadership loves to be able to do that. So we want you to know that we're here for you in that respect, and that we are constantly praying for you. But if there are specific ways, please let us know. We have also been very prayerful about how we should reopen, and our leadership team met yesterday to discuss that in light of what was said on Friday from the governor and his executive order. And we feel like we need to be responsible, and we need to use wisdom, and we need to lean on God and trust in Him to guide us in that. And we feel like we have come up with a sensible phased reopening that makes the most sense, given CDC recommendations and government guidelines as well. So for the past few weeks, since March 15th, we have been in this phase one of no more than 10 people in a social gathering, and we have streamed our services at 10 and kind of stopped our community groups, FCC Kids, and our youth programming, and all in-person meetings really all together here at the church. So we're going to move now from that into a different phase, into phase two, which is going to begin today. As the governor said, we're going to kind of follow their phases, and we've numbered them the same just so there's no confusion. But starting today, we can gather in groups of up to 25 people. Now, that would be difficult for us, even though the governor said that houses of worship can open for religious services with no restriction on the number as long as social distancing is practiced. We feel like that number is still very important if that's what they're suggesting for the rest of the population. So it would be tough for us to have 12 services on a weekend. It would exhaust our staff, and we really don't want to do that. So what we've decided to do for the next 2 weeks in this phase is just to continue to live stream at 10:30, as we have been doing for the last several weeks. So for the next 2 weeks, on the 17th and on the 10th and the 17th, through the 17th, but May 10th, May 17th, we're going to live stream only, continuing what we have been doing. And we are going to encourage community groups to get together and have house church, have church at home, invite your group over, watch the service together. You don't necessarily have to do it on a Sunday morning, but get together with your community group, worship together, take communion together. Maybe you share in a meal together after the service is over. I know that my group, some folks from my group did that last Sunday, and I went to join them right after church was over. So that we want to encourage you to do so. We feel like community groups is where church happens. It's where life is lived together. It's where you grow deeper in Scripture and your relationship with God together. So we want to stress that we really feel that that's important, and we want to encourage you to do so. As we enter into phase 3 in just a couple of weeks, on May the 24th, we're allowed then to gather up to 100 people. So what we want to do moving into that next phase is to be able to offer you 3 opportunities for worship on Sunday morning at 8 o'clock, at 9:30, and 11, which is a little bit different than our normal Sunday morning schedule. So 8 o'clock, 9:30, and 11, no more than 100 people in each one of those services. And we feel like that's going to give us enough space to be able to execute that very well. We're going to practice the social distancing that we did the very first week we were together, as far as communion and offering and bulletins and all that was concerned. And we've even spaced our chairs out just a little bit to allow families to sit together while they are still distanced from other families. Couples can sit together, and we have some single chairs as well for folks who come to worship individually. But we'll still have all of those in place. Masks are going to be recommended for you when you come to worship and provided by us. However, they are not required. So they're going to be recommended and provided, but they will not be required when you come to worship. We will not have Sunday school or FCC Kids programming at that time, just because it's tough to socially distance those groups in those small spaces. Also in Phase 3, we want to encourage anyone who is 65 or older to attend the 8 o'clock service. Anybody who's 65 or older or who may be high risk for COVID, please come to that 8 o'clock service. We're going to do our best just to kind of keep that time reserved for you folks. That service will not be live streamed. We're just going to live stream our 9:30 and our 11. Also, if you have been ill, you are ill currently, or you have been exposed to COVID-19 or feel like you may have been, we want to ask that you please remain at home and to continue to worship with us via our live stream on Sunday morning. Community groups are going to be encouraged to resume their weekly Bible study and their fellowship at that time. I know it's getting to the summer where some groups take a break, but we want to encourage you, if you want to get together and meet, then you have the blessing of leadership to be able to do that. As we get into this 3-service format and not going more than 100, we will need you to register or to sign up for which service you plan on attending, which is going to seem weird and may sound strange at first, but that's the best way for us to assure that we have followed these guidelines and that we are taking the best steps that we can to protect folks. So you would be able to register for that service by going to fccevv.com/worship. And that's active now on our website for the 3 weeks of the 24th of May, the 31st of May, and the 7th of June. You can even go do that now. But there is going to be some information come out via email. It'll be in the Sentinel. It will be on our Facebook page. It will be on our website for you to be able to go and to register, you and your family. Make sure you let us know how many of you are planning to attend. Don't just register one and then show up with 6 people. We want to make sure that we have good numbers as we enter into that part of the phase of worshiping together. And then starting on the 14th of June, we enter Phase 4 with the rest of the state, where we can gather up to 250 people. And at that time, we're going to resume our normal Sunday morning scheduling as far as worship is concerned. We will worship at 8:20 and we will worship at 10:30 with no restrictions on who comes to either one of those worship services. However, we will not have our Sunday school classes or our FCC Kids programming on Sunday morning, just because, again, it's tough to socially distance in those small spaces. You will not have to sign up for what service you're going to come to at this point. This is just going to be back to normal without Sunday school or kids programming in the morning. And I know that that's a lot of information, and I know that it's probably kind of confusing, but you can go back and you can rewatch this just so you make sure you get everything straight. But I want to make sure that you know that our leadership really prayed over this a whole lot as we discussed it yesterday afternoon, and we think this is the best for us. Just because you can do something, just because we can meet, and it doesn't necessarily mean that we should meet. It doesn't mean that it's in the best interest of public health. So as we continue to watch statistics come in, and we watch numbers, and we watch as the number of infections goes up or down, we will revisit this phased in reopening and make changes as needed. It is just a guideline for us beginning now, so we have some sort of idea of how we need to plan for the next 6 or 7 weeks. So if you have any questions, please feel free to call me at the church office. Be patient with us through this process. Don't get frustrated with us if we're not doing what you think that we should be doing. We have bathed this in prayer and really sought God's direction as we have tried to decide how to reopen our building for worship and still keep everyone safe. So give us a call at the church office if you have questions. Watch for some more information as far as being able to register for those worship services that we'll have on the 24th, the 31st, and the 7th. We hope that you'll continue to join us via live stream on Sunday morning this week and the week after at 10:30. If you do have a prayer request, again, please let us know. We'd love to join you in that. We are constantly praying for you, and we know that you are praying for us as well. But in the meantime, till we see you again, we hope that you are staying home, that you are staying safe, and that you are staying healthy.